In this video, I'm going to show you how to take notes on the two sources that you are required to use other than your book. Now remember, you are selecting these sources from the list in the module prompt for your topic. They are listed in the right-hand column, which is gray at the top and says sources. There are a variety of different types of sources, so you'll want to select the ones that are best for you. And I really recommend that you look at all of them before you make your choices. So I have done that. I have looked at all the sources, and I'm probably more likely to look at print sources because I like to be able to read the information rather than have to listen to it. So, my first source is going to be that I'm using is going to be my brief history of scientific theories of race, an article from the Washington Post. So I'm just going to copy that title because I need to put the name of the source in my notes. I also need to put a link to the link to the source in my notes. So do the name first. Just gonna highlight where it says name of source. And I'm going to Control Shift V to paste without the formatting. Then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to get the link from the document. I think if I click on it, it should pop up the link. We are not being very cooperative. There we are. Pops up the link. So now I have the link and I'm just going to again select the text and Control Shift V. And now I can go ahead and click on my source and open it up. So I'm just going to go ahead and open that link, and that's where Annotate, that extension that we downloaded or that you may have downloaded at the beginning that I suggested that you downloaded at the beginning, that's where that becomes really, really helpful. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to my little puzzle piece icon in my Chrome web browser, and I'm going to click on Annotate so that it will pop open the toolbar for me. And here is my toolbar. Okay, great. Now that I have my toolbar, I'm going to go ahead and select my highlighter tool. I think the tools that are going to be the most useful to you are going to be that text highlighter tool. And then right next to that, there's a text tool that you can use to create a text box and add a note if you'd like. But for the purposes of our demonstration, I'm going to just be using the highlighter tool, and my favorite color is purple, so I'm going to use purple. And what I want to do now is I just want to go start reading and I want to look for information that is relevant to my topic and my question. So I'm looking for scientific theories about race, what scientists have said about race. And the way that you work the highlighter tool is you just make sure that it's clicked over here on the right on your toolbar, and then you just drag over the text that you want to highlight and it will highlight it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a few minutes to read through my article and find some things that I might want to take notes on. Okay, so you can see that I've highlighted some information. What I found is that there's a doctor who was named Samuel A. Cartwright, who in 1851 made a report to the Medical Association of Louisiana about this illness that uh, he identified that was causing slaves to run away from the plantations they were on. He called it drapomania. So, um, anyway, I need to now think about okay, how am I going to paraphrase this information? And this is where note taking, this is where you need to really be careful in your note taking. You should not, in your note taking, remember, be copying and pasting things. We want to word this and we want to paraphrase this. We want to put this into our own words. In order to do that, I personally really find it helpful to kind of preload my brain with some alternative ways to phrase things. So there are, you know, words that like indolence and barbarism that I am not super confident that I'm going to be able to think very easily of terms to replace that. So I'm going to look up some synonyms for indolence. What is indolence? Oh, it's laziness. Well, that's a lot more understandable, and it sounds a lot more like something I would write because I would never use the word indolent. I didn't even know what it meant. I had to look it up. So I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, preload my brain with some different language. So I'm going to put here that indolence is the same or equals laziness. And then I'm also going to look up barbarism. Okay, so I've gone through and I have replaced or found replacements for words and phrases that I was not really I couldn't really see myself being able to come up with words very easily while I'm paraphrasing. Um, and so now I want to actually start paraphrasing, which means I am going to need to navigate away from this tab and try to um, remember and then, of course, put into my own words what is being said here. Now, remember, one of the tips for paraphrasing and avoiding plagiarism when you do it is to not start in the same place as your text does. So instead of, so I want to kind of pick something, a point in the middle and in the middle of a sentence um, to be my starting point for this paraphrase. So I'm going to actually start with, I think I'm going to start with the doctor's name here. Um, because it's not only in the middle of what I'm paraphrasing, in the middle of the passage that I'm paraphrasing, but it's also in the middle of a sentence. So starting there is going to make sure that I don't sound too similar to this original. So I'm going to jump over here to my notes and I'm going to go ahead and put this first chunk of information that I'm paraphrasing into the first row. You want to use a different row, of course, for each chunk of information. So I'm going to go ahead and do my best to remember what that page is saying. I'll show you what I have in just a minute. Okay, so what I came up with is well-known Dr. Samuel A. Cartwright declared to the Medical Association of Louisiana that he had discovered the illness responsible for hundreds of slaves running away from their owners each year. He called it drapetomania and declared that it could be easily treated by keeping Black people under someone else's control. The only thing, and so I just want to double check that I have all of the important details here. I did not talk about the differences that Cartwright uh, had stated were in blacks because he talks about that or talks about that more in this article, and I think I want to chunk that information all together. To me, that's kind of a different idea. So I'm going to chunk that with other information from this article and paraphrase it and put it into a different paraphrase. So the only thing I'm really missing is when this happened. That it happened on March 12th, 1851, is when he was addressing that Medical Association of Louisiana. So I'm just going to go back and I'm going to add in that detail. So that was March 12th, 1851. So I added the date in there. So now I have all of the necessary details. Now I need to add the part that is my commentary. So I like to um, I think that this is a really good place where the voice typing tool could be really helpful. Um, that way I can kind of process this information and talk it out, and I can have um, all of my notes about or all my thoughts about that recorded. So I'm going to go to Tools and I'm going to click on Voice Typing at this time. And then in order to turn it on, you just click it to speak. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it, and then I'm going to start answering, telling what I say. So, answering those questions: what does it mean? Why does it matter? How does it help us answer the question posed by the prompt? So, what I think this means, what I think this means is that really early on, you had medical professionals trying to identify significant differences between races of people. You also have the idea here that because these people did not want to be slaves on plantations, they must have some sort of illness. I think this matters because it is showing how the scientific community and the medical community are trying to come up with reasons to defend slavery and make it seem like a good thing. Cartwright's idea here about keeping someone under control being the cure for this illness is showing us this. It's basically saying that slavery slavery is keeping somebody else under control. So slavery is then going to cure these people and keep them from wanting to run away. Now, that seems kind of contradictory to me, um, but it shows how people were willing to believe things that were not very logical in order to defend the things that they wanted to do. In this case, have slave labor.